there came a point of time I slipped into depression. It's like you're rising, everything is going perfect, you rise to the pinnacle, and suddenly you crash. You don't even know what hit you. And that is where I understood your pain is something only you can embrace. Till you keep hiding it, you are running away from it, it's not going to go away. अगर आपको हार्ट प्रॉब्लम है तो आप हार्ट डॉक्टर के पास जाओगे, right? You're not going to go to your neighbor. Similarly, when you have a problem where you're struggling with anxiety, you go to somebody who specializes in anxiety management. When you have anger problems, you go to someone who can help you with anger problems. You don't expect another person to come up with a solution. A lot of us feel, ab sab khatam ho gaya. That's the feeling you get when you're in that moment. So the first step in transformation is to understand and acknowledge that it is not over. It's one chapter that is over, and this is exactly the point where you're going to begin the next chapter. So now you have a fresh opportunity, like a fresh page, to redefine the whole of you, to redefine your journey, to redefine who you are.
Welcome everyone to the Gargi Arya show. And today we have an amazing and a very inspiring guest, Miss Delna Rajesh. I don't have words to express because she's an amazing healer, a spiritual psychotherapist, Reiki grandmaster, Akashic reader, life coach, dedicated to empowering women to break free from all the things that they have been suffering with, whether it's emotional pain, whether it's toxic relationships, whether it's their self-worth, everything. If anything you have in mind and you have not been able to overcome since last few years, just go to her. Her aura positivity is going to change your life. She has impacted around 4,000 women in the last 21 years. So she has a vast knowledge around her work, and the kind of lives, the kind of work that she has been doing is simply breathtaking, speechless. She's the founder of the Kintsugi Mastery Foundation. And it's a revolutionary blend of psycho spiritual tools, energy healing, coaching techniques, and we are going to talk so much around it. So thank you so much, Delna ma'am, for being here in our podcast and sparing your time.
Thank you so much for having me over, Gargi. This is an immense honor to be here with you.
Amazing.
And I really look forward to a good chat today.
Awesome. Great. So now what we are going to, the first question that I would like to begin with you is, how did you came into healing? Like, what was that point in your life where you realized that I want to help people, with healing? I want to help people, especially women with their emotional pain.
There are two parts to this. I got into healing very young, Gargi. I was, I think, 16 or something. I don't even remember. I got into healing in 2000. So we were just a bunch of college kids, and one of the days, one of our friends said, Reiki seminar chal raha hai. You want to go give it a shot? So we said, chalo, let's try it. Let's see what it is. And वहां से ट्राई करते करते I didn't know what it is going to open up for me, but in Reiki there is this process called the attunement, जो हम शक्तिपात कहते हैं, without which actually Reiki doesn't, it's not like it's just a movement of energy. Reiki means attunement. And when I went and I sat on that chair and my master put her hand, and obviously your eyes are closed, you don't even know actually what is happening. But that feeling that I felt inside of me when, the movement of energy, for the first time, I felt something move inside of me. And that was a magical, it's a feeling I cannot till date express. And after I felt what I felt, I said, this is something magical. This is not a normal thing. And somehow जो friends थे वो तो कहीं कहीं निकल गए, but Reiki was something that sort of I held on to it. I won't say it stuck onto me. I held on to it, and I continued, and you're a young college kid, so you have aspirations, you do, you want to learn more stuff. So of course I had many other workshops I did, even other healing modalities, just to, understand, experiment, explore certain other professional courses also. But there came a point of time where I slipped into depression. It's like, you're rising. Everything is going perfect. You rise to the pinnacle and you feel, wow, there's this, this is where I'm going. And suddenly you crash and, you don't even know what hit you. So I went through this weird phase of darkness, self-doubt. You keep questioning clinginess, neediness, wanting validation from people, just random people who don't even matter to you. Honestly, I don't know why I was in that state. And that is where I understood this undeniable truth that it's your job and it's your journey, and your pain is something only you can embrace. And until you embrace that brokenness, till you keep hiding it, you are running away from it. It's not going to go away. So I went through this phase where I met my second Reiki master. I got back to Reiki again because और कुछ था ही नहीं. And then that day onwards, it was like my lifeline, because when you have tried many things and everything else fails, and you have that one little thread of hope, you sort of I will say I clung on to it with my life, and whatever my master told me. And she is quite an amazing soul. She's also a therapist, so from Reiki to Heal Your Life, she's also Heal Your Life teacher. So she put me through program after program after program. I think I must have touched some 30-40 modalities. I don't even remember what. And I just went, and healing happened for me. I rediscovered myself. I started bouncing back. And there came a point where, because I understood somewhere the process of brokenness to acceptance to acknowledgement, and then wanting to, there is a point where you want to get back and you want to prove that, you know what, this is not what I'm for. This is not what I'm meant to be. I'm much stronger than this. I'm meant for something much bigger than this. So I started bouncing back. And then, in traditional Reiki, you sort of assist your master. So whenever my master would call us, we would go. So kabhi there is an addiction case, there's an OCD case, there's a schizophrenia case, there's an alcoholic case, there's a rape case, different things. And then somehow I started meeting people because I started talking about Reiki. So I would just keep meeting people and talking to them about it. And then, also supporting them. So I remember there was a friend of mine who I discovered was raped 4 times by people very close to her. And that journey that I supported her with, that was an eye opener. And that's where I realized that maybe, I'm meant for something different. So I had my corporate job, but then this always was a parallel. And after a point, I decided that this is what I want to do. And then here I am helping women go through that curve over and over again with different journeys. Yeah, that's about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Delna ma'am, for sharing this. I think any person who would listen to your story and the success stories that you have been creating, like just the one that you have mentioned, I think it's really a big salute to you and the healing modalities that you're using, because I've seen your work and I know that even doctors can't do it. You are doing it. Awesome. So, like my next question to you would be, you said that you are the founder of Kintsugi, right? So, what inspired you to create this mastership program, and what's this concept of Kintsugi? Like, if anybody, even when I heard it for the first time, I was not clear.
So a lot of women, a lot of us, even a lot of men, there comes a point of time where we experience an emotion. We don't label it as an emotion, but there is a point where you feel you are broken deep within. एक होता है हम अंदर से टूट जाते हैं. You try everything, but there comes a point of time where you feel that brokenness within, that hollowness, that emptiness. And Kintsugi is a beautiful Japanese word. In Japan, there is this technique called Kintsugi. It's an art form. And what they do is they take this, broken pottery or broken ceramics, and they join it. They put it together with gold and platinum. So they melt, there's molten gold and molten platinum, and they stick these broken pieces together to create an invaluable masterpiece, something that is so priceless and precious and so beautiful. Embracing that brokenness, embracing the scars, embracing that entire journey, and building something far more powerful, stronger, priceless, finding that self-worth, finding that center of power within you. That is what Kintsugi mastery is about, to master the art of embracing your brokenness and walking with your scars, with a sense of pride, like it's priceless gold and platinum. That is the whole concept. And the journey is a tough journey. It is a messy journey. It's not about fixing something instantly. It's a longish journey. It's about honoring what you have been through, acknowledging that, not feeling shame about it, and using the lessons you learned from that moment on to create something far more beautiful and authentic while you redefine yourself. So that is Kintsugi mastery.
So basically, I would like you to tell that, you have told about the foundations of Kintsugi. Now, let's say if somebody wants to implement this principle in their life, so how does it go?
To implement the principle of Kintsugi, must understand the concept of brokenness in the first place. Okay, and to understand that that feeling is in the end. A lot of us feel ab sab khatam ho gaya. All right, that's the feeling you get when you're in that moment. That it's everything is over now. There's nothing to look forward to. So the first step I feel in transformation is to understand and acknowledge कि it is not over. It's one chapter that is over. एक chapter खत्म हुआ है, and this is exactly the point where you're going to begin the next chapter. So this is the moment where you can absolutely, it's a fresh slate. वैसे भी कुछ पुराना है नहीं बचा हुआ. So now you have a fresh opportunity, like a fresh page to redefine the whole of you, to redefine your journey, to redefine who you are. The struggle, the heartbreak, the pain, all of these, they are the cracks that shape us. So we take learnings from them. That's a very priceless, very valuable part of our life. So we don't ditch it or don't bury it. We take that, we acknowledge that, and we say this is now the beginning, and this is what I got. Now let me create something beautiful out of it. So the next step is to sort of start putting those cracks together, to start seeing what can I make out of this. What did I get out of this? What do I want? What do I not want? To have that clarity. So step 2 is to look at it, be clear about it, and be clear about your path. Then you start sort of rediscovering yourself, a lot of self-love, a lot of inner strength, because before you move on to a path, you want to first rejuvenate and redefine and gather the strength for a new journey. And once you do that, we define the path to restoration and then move forward. So you find that one golden thread that holds you through. It can be anything. And that's what I help women do, to find that one common link, that one ray of hope, that one golden thread that becomes their inner strength to move forward, to redefine and to rebuild.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing this amazing concept. I am sure that those who are listening this podcast, even I am getting a lot of value. So, you have worked with so many women, like 4,000, more than 4,000 lives you have already impacted in the last 21 years. So, you tell me basically what are some of the common challenges that you have seen women struggling with in their life, relationship, money, career, and how do you help them through your programs?
So some of the common things when women come to me, they've lost sight of who they are. They start feeling, hota hai that there's the whole cosmos, and you feel you're some invisible thing in the entire lot. So feeling lost, feeling invisible, feeling purposeless, unsure, unworthy. Sometimes a lot of them are carrying so much anger and so much fear that cycles of emotional pain and the thought loop and anxiety and panic, that is the state they come in, and there's so much of toxicity. And what we do here is my program, it helps them discover their truth. A lot of them don't even know what they're going through. They just feel, acha ma'am, ek anxiety attack aa raha hai, I'm feeling a little shiverish, or I went blank. And they're coming to solve the problem of feeling blank or shivering at that point of time. But, the first step is where we help them rediscover, this is the problem, and then help them accept it, help them acknowledge it, then teach them slowly how to set their boundaries. First, to have clarity where to set the boundary and where not to set the boundary, and then start setting boundaries to protect. And there's a lot of back and forth. It's not like a very easy journey. So, they go, they try, they fail, they come back broken again, even more broken sometimes as, compared to otherwise, because, it's not so easy being in a toxic situation. And slowly back and forth, then we start building their self-esteem, self-worth, desirability, and slowly inculcating that power within them to change it. So we do a lot of work with psychotherapy, energy, all of that blended together, and slowly they sort of move from that brokenness to wholeness.
Great. So, like to all the women who are listening to this, let's say the problems that you told around boundary, toxic relationship. So, if somebody is wanting to take a step forward or take a stand for their life or they want to change it, so any 3 to 4 steps you can tell them or you can refer them so that they can start working, and also tell us about the workshop if somebody wants to attend it, like if somebody wants to join it.
Yes. So if you're going to start working with yourself, the first thing is I'm sure the person would have, if you can get books and manage with the help available around you, I would say please go ahead, do that if it's at that stage. But if you are at a stage where you're not able to manage it yourself, please don't go and speak to someone who is not capable of solving the problem. It's like this, this is our tendency. I'm in a problem. I will come and talk to my neighbor, my sister, my mother, whoever is. I mean, there's nothing to say you shouldn't do that. We do that. But when we are looking at something with an objective to get a problem sorted, है ना? Then you अगर आपको heart problem है तो आप heart doctor के पास जाओगे, right? You're not going to go to your neighbor. Similarly, when you have a problem where you're struggling with anxiety, you go to somebody who specializes in anxiety management. When you have anger problems, you go to someone who can help you with anger problems. You don't expect another person to come up with a solution. So the first step is to go get help from an authentic source who is capable of helping you. Then the second step is dedication. And when I say dedication, in the healing journey, there may be multiple techniques. So we are not going to go into the technique. I can say every modality works and everything works fantastically. What doesn't work is when we have our inner child and our shadow self resisting the work that the therapist is asking us to do. And you want to keep giving up in between. So from your end, your only job is to get yourself back to the session and to do the work. And it may sound very difficult, but you tell yourself that this is where I'm going to get myself back. I'm going to be on track and I'm going to do what my therapist asked me to do. And with that, a little bit of affirmations, a little bit of self-worth exercises. There's so much available. So I would say a little bit of yoga, little physical work, little mental work, little mirror work, where you are talking to yourself. Self-talk is the most important thing. And then please stick to your therapist, obviously after you have identified a good one, and go through the journey till the end, till you get that result, the desired result. That is your job to do. The rest is your mentor's job. So leave it to them.
Thank you so much for sharing this, Della ma'am. I hope that people are really able to relate with you. So, one thing that I love about you is you blend the traditional practices with what is followed today. So, can you throw some light on, basically how do you blend the traditional psycho-spiritual healing techniques with the modern psychological practices that are being followed?
So actually, it is not so much about traditional and modern. It's about different techniques. So different techniques, they do different things. For example, something like Reiki. Reiki is an energy modality. So there is energy, there is mind, and then there is the body, right? So if I have to work with the physical body, the fitness, the blood flow, the activity, the flow of prana, I'm going to do more of activity, which is physical. So a little bit of yoga, a little bit of breath work also, to the pranayama and all of that. That helps you to sort of regulate the flow of prana and the blood circulation. Then you have mudra work, all of that. Then you have energy work, where you're working on your energy body, on your chakras. Chakras are like the energy you hold is like the fuel. Agar aapki gaadi hai, it's a high-tech car with all the best technology and there is no petrol in it. Is it going to work? So this is what happens when so many people, you're doing all the mind work, all the mental work, all the cognitive therapy that you're doing, and then energy is not ready, your chakras are not, opened enough. I would say, ऐसे open sabhi ke hote hain. Everybody has active chakras, but sometimes it could be blocked, but mostly even though you have active chakras, there could be low energy or extremely high frequency, and we are sort of oscillating. So the ability to regulate the energy and bring it to the optimal frequency for you to be able to also do the mental work. So first you prepare your physical body, you prepare your energy body, and then you apply all the cognitive therapies like your CBT, REBT, all hypnotherapy. All of them have a special purpose. So as and when there is a need, we apply that. But energy healing is the fundamental. It's like preparing the mental, emotional, physical, spiritual body, and then you do the mind work. It acts like magic. It works like magic. It's much faster.
Great. So, can you also shed light on, how do you think the traditional practices or the way you teach is much better than whatever is being taught right now? So, how are your practices very different and very vast? Because I have experienced it. So, I know that you are very different in this.
There is no better, first of all. Okay, there is no better or less in this. I'm a traditional Reiki master, so I follow certain traditional protocols. There is a certain discipline to it. There are certain rules we do not break. Okay. For example, attunement. A lot of people believe कि बिना attunement के भी energy तो is flowing anyway. You are experiencing. All of us can experience energy. We are all energy beings only. But without an attunement, without a master, it's Reiki. It's not Usui Reiki. That is why it's called Usui Reiki, and it happens with an attunement. So attunement is a must. Then the 21-day journey is a must before you get to the next level. You cannot just do, level after level without doing your inner work, moving to the next point, getting initiated again. So 21 days of that work. And then there are certain other things which we follow very strictly. They are there for a reason, I believe. And it is coming from a very, very rich lineage of gurus. And we really respect it and follow it to the T, no matter what. And that's what makes it different, I will say. It gives beautiful results. It's not like quick instant coffee. So anybody who's expecting to walk into a seminar and say 1 week I'm going to heal 20 30 years that we messed up, it's not going to get healed in a week's time. It doesn't happen. That is an impossible goal. Yes, you will start seeing a shift in a week or 2 weeks or 21 days. You will start seeing a shift. You will start experiencing the emotional release. It could be messy because you're going to start facing those emotions. It could be pleasant, it could be messy, it could remind you of those tough moments for you to be able to acknowledge and work towards them. And slowly, as you keep working, over a period of time, that energy starts transforming. You start realizing, you start making changes on your own, and you will see a shift within your own self. And that shift is what brings about the external change, and you start attracting the life that you desire. That is how it works.
Great. So, leading this to a very beautiful question, I would say you have so many success stories. Can you share few of them so that our audience can understand, the whole concept behind Kintsugi?
I work with many women. So I have many, not just one, but multiple case studies of women in toxic relationships within marriage, or even in the dating phase, where it has been so toxic, where I have sometimes had to be on the phone when they are getting beaten up and say, you get your neighbors and get yourself out of there, I'm holding the line. From that moment on to helping them, sometimes some of them even move out of the country. So having that goal. So, I've seen Reiki intentions. Let me get out of this country so I can escape this pain. From there to preparing them, to building their self-confidence. And today I see so many of them, I get their wedding cards, the second marriage, or finding a job, or going abroad and finding their dream job, or starting their own business. And those are the moments. I have had people who have not conceived for 7-8 years. In their first 21-day cycle, after an 8-year struggle, they've conceived within 7 days. So there are cancer reversal cases that have happened in a span of 3 months. Of course, with chemotherapy, you do your medical process for everything. There are hardcore chronic depression cases which are on, very high dosage of prescription. Those have come down to almost negligible today. And, we keep saying, go get tested. And the dosage lowers and the dosage lowers and the dosage lowers. And then finally now they're fine. So yes, a lot of work and a lot of cases.
Awesome. we can move into this question also, that a lot of times, I think you also worked with somebody who was diagnosed with brain cancer, and doctors said that they won't be able to survive. But I think something like this story was there, and you helped the person to break through it. So, how do you think doctors fail to work on those parts that a healer can?
It wasn't brain, it was breast cancer. And
Yes.
I would say doctors fail. They do their best. And I think even, when we channel Reiki also, we say, bless the doctor's hand. Okay. Bless the doctor's hand, bless his energy. May he be guided to do exactly what is required to be done to make this surgery successful. So they do go through the surgery, and all credit to the doctor and all the medical practitioners and everybody who's working with those people. They're doing a great job. What healers do in addition is we support them with the energy, with the positivity, with that inner strength. When your chakras are ready to heal, when your vibrational frequency is so high, you're ready to receive. And ये जो case था, this is of a mother who was a single mom. She had a teenage daughter, and she was worried. She said, I have to live. I don't have a choice. Who will take care of her? एंड उन्होंने जिस जुनून से हैट्स ऑफ टू हर, जिस जुनून से उन्होंने काम किया था. आई एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम आई ओनली हैड माय 5 a.m. बैच रेडी. शी वाज वर्किंग आल्सो. शी had her job, so she would have her shifts every morning. Gargi, 5 a.m. I could be late, but she would be on the dot, ready. She would have office, so she would have finished cooking, she would have had her bath, and she's ready in her office attire because she had an early login. 5 a.m. sharp, consistently. And even after the course was over, 21 days consistently. Even after that, I said, keep doing, keep doing, keep doing, keep doing. And she did that. She worked with her daughter also. I met her daughter for a couple of cases, couple of sessions. And hats off to the person who takes responsibility for it, I would say. Reiki is a powerhouse. It can make magic happen. इसमें मास्टर का बहुत कम रोल होता है. द रोल इज ऑफ द पर्सन हु इज टेकिंग सेल्फ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. आप जितने जुनून से इसको करते हो, दैट इज व्हाट मेक्स दैट मैजिक.
So, what's your vision to impact people? Like, what do you wake up to every single day? And like, you have such a soothing energy. So, what are some of the things that you yourself do every single day to maintain this?
I do my sadhana wherever I can, or somehow, because I'm in the Reiki space, I'm very lucky. Somehow or the other, I get a healing client all the time. So we believe, and it is true. I feel in every case we heal deeper. So every time I'm sitting with a client and I'm doing full body healing with them, I'm also healing a part of myself. I also have my realization moments. I'm also going through my emotional cleansing. I also realize parts of myself that are yet to be healed. And we go through that journey together. So one is your self work. अगर नहीं होता केस तो मैं खुद से कर लूं. And अगर केस है, then that's amazing bonus for me. So I think that is one thing. Family time is another thing to keep my mental sanity. So I would say we block a certain time. It is very short, but certain time where we are together and we discuss. I don't do so much per se, because through the day, because of the cases and the work that I'm doing, I'm also breathing with them. I'm also doing my pranayama. I'm also doing my Reiki throughout. But yes, I do keep a mental check on my mind and what is happening inside of me. That is something, my self introspection, self work, reading, learning, staying connected to my master also, and doing my practices, my journaling, my gratitude, checking on my anger. So in Reiki, we have these 5 principles. So periodically, I won't say every day. Earlier, I used to do every day, but periodically, I do check. Just for today, I'm not angry. Did I get angry? How much did I get angry? Why did I get angry? Just for today, I will not worry. How much did I worry? Why did I worry? So all of this, just for today, was I 100% honest? Just for today, was I in complete sense of gratitude? Just for today, was I really kind to everyone, or was I nasty? So these are certain points you check on. I personally check on periodically. I won't say I'm perfect. I'm still work in progress. A lot of blunders still happen, and I think everybody is going through a learning journey. But yes, try to be a little more mindful, and that mindfulness is, I think, the key to sanity.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So, another question to you is, how do you think understanding yourself or accepting who we are leads us to self-love, because a lot of women, or even if I talk in general, a lot of people, they are not able to accept who they are. They are not able to accept their past. A lot of people are in their past, so they don't take the courage to just carry forward with their dreams. So why do you think self-love is important, and how can one start going first into accepting their own self with their imperfections and flaws?
Yes. So, a lot of times I see a lot of stuff on the media, self-love, may you're buying. I see people on the Valentine's Day, they're buying themselves flower and roses
Right.
and movie tickets and all that. I mean, that's all fine. But, I have an entire, 40 above self-love program. And the first thing I tell and I start drilling into self-love is self-acceptance. Self-love is self-worth. It begins with self-worth. सो अगर आप अपने आप को अपने स्कार्स के साथ, अपनी ब्रोकननेस के साथ, अपने लिमिटेशंस के साथ एक्सेप्ट करके एक्नॉलेज ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो, then there is no way you can love it. How can you love something you can't accept or acknowledge? How can you love something you feel ashamed of? And the way to look around is, I say, left right देखो जरा, कोई भी है क्या जो perfect है? Anybody who's not made blunders? Anybody who's not done anything in their life which could be shameful, which could be hurtful, which could, carry guilt? All of us have. Everybody makes blunders, and all of us are here to learn together on the learning path. So what's the big deal? ऐसा कोई secret नहीं है. Nobody, when I get these sessions, a lot of people say, "मैम ना मैं रेकी workshop करूंगी, मुझे 1-to-1 करना. I don't want to discuss in the group." But if you look at stories, there is no story that is so different. Other people will not be able to acknowledge or relate to or empathize with. And still, if people are judging you, they're not the right people.
Right.
That's not where you want to be in the first place. So that's your first round of filtering.
Mm.
If people around you are not allowing you to maintain basic self-worth, I'm not saying you should not be associated. They are your relationships and you should have them. But that's not where you get your inspiration from. They can be there and they can do their thing. But your inspiration, your light has to come from someone who believes in you. So find that someone who believes in you and stick to them till you find your center. That's where self-love begins.
Amazing. Great. So now coming to the next question that I would like to ask you, how do you empower women to rebuild their lives after going through such toxic experiences? Because like a lot of people, they might give up on they have no hopes, they feel that it's too dark now. So how do you revive that hope back into them, that even after going through such cases, you can still go on, like the one that you mentioned about the rape case?
There's a lot of work, Gargi, that goes into this. It is not, it takes, sometimes it takes years of therapy work, a lot of acceptance work. Also, in this case, it had turned into an OCD. She kept feeling dirty about it. She would keep, washing her hands and, having a bath. And, because you start feeling dirty about the body. And there were certain smells she couldn't bear, smells that are associated to situations where the incident or the memory would have taken place, the trauma would have taken place. So you work piece by piece. You break it down into smaller pieces and you say, "Aaj hum sirf is wale fear pe work karenge." Then we move to the next part and the next part, and slowly we start. And then sometimes it is even the society who makes it so messy for them. Like I've seen cases where parents also make it very difficult, or ab ye ho gaya hai, you want to hide it, get the girl married somewhere. So there again, you have to help them hold their ground and stand up for themselves and say, "No, this is not what I want to do. I will build something." So a lot of different modalities, a lot of mental, emotional support. And another very strong pillar is, I always tell every woman, you have to be financially independent. Your father can be extremely rich, your mother can be extremely rich, your husband can be something, your brother can be something, but you have to be something yourself. If you don't have your own financial stability, it's like your backbone, it's your power. So if you don't have that, then you start becoming dependent. And dependency, whether emotional or financial, is a ditch. The moment you start getting dependent, there are all sorts of things that are going to happen where it's not in your control. So first step is to take back control of both financial and emotional independence.
Great. Thank you so much, Delna ma'am, for sharing this. My next question that I would like to ask is, if like you are available on Instagram and you have different things running up, so if somebody wants to register for it, or if somebody wants to just inquire about it, where they can contact you?
So on Instagram, you can DM me. Even on my YouTube channel, if you leave a comment with your number or your email ID, my team will reach out to you. Also, in some of the Insta descriptions or some of the YouTube descriptions, my number is given. So you can also WhatsApp me. So there are multiple ways to reach me. Just get onto Instagram or LinkedIn or YouTube and just leave a comment or a message, and my team will reach out to you, and we're happy to support.
Great. So everyone, now your steps are going to be first. All the links are there in the description below. Just make sure that you follow her everywhere, because I have seen her work. I've attended it, and so many people inside even our community love what you do, and they just get themselves enrolled into your programs. So everyone, just make sure that you attend it, and if you felt connected, just make sure to join any of the programs that you are able to relate. And the second thing I would love for you to do is, please share your comments below, or your breakthroughs below, or if any questions you would like to ask Della ma'am or me, we would happy to help you throughout this journey. And just last question to Della ma'am would be, what's the last message that you would like to give to the people who are watching this?
I would say stick to your inner work, whether you're in a broken state or whether you're feeling awesome on top of the world. Inner work, self work is something you must make a part of your life. It's like breathing. So never give up on yourself, dream high, keep shining, keep thriving, and lots of love and light to each one of you. Keep blossoming.
Thank you so much, Della ma'am, and thank you so much, everyone. This podcast was full of golden nuggets. And just last thought I would like to add on is, whatever we have told or whatever we have talked around, just make sure you act upon it. Because if you don't act upon it, you will not see the magic of what she's talking about. So, with this, thank you so much, Della ma'am, for being here on this podcast. It was an honor to be your host.
Thank you, Gargi. Thank you for having me. You're such a
Thank
pleasure.
you.